Hello, you're listening to a special interview episode of Popcorn Podcast with Leigh and Tim, where we sit down with the directors of Birdeater, Jack Clark and Jim Weir.
I'm Timmy Fland, movie buff.
And I'm Leigh Livingstone, entertainment journalist.
And we love to talk all things movies. Now, in Birdeater, a bride-to-be is invited to her own fiancé's bucks party. But when uncomfortable details about their relationship are exposed, the night takes a feral turn.
Birdeater is directed by Jack Clark and Jim Weir from a screenplay by Clark, starring Mackenzie Fernley, Shabana Aziz, Ben Hunter, Jack Bannister, Clementine Anderson, Alfie Gledhill, Harley Wilson, and Carolyn McQuaid.
Longtime filmmaking collaborators Jack Clark and Jim Weir had only just begun discussing the idea of what would go on to become Birdeater when they stumbled upon a Facebook post from a new Sydney-based production company asking for micro-budget feature pictures.
Yeah, that's right. Breathless Films were embarking on a fascinating experiment. Give 5 filmmaking teams a chance to make a micro-budget feature over the course of a year. What an opportunity.
Incredible. Now, once shooting did commence in November of 2021, the heavens opened. And right on cue, the months dry riverbed that skirted the entire set slowly but surely became a stream. Shooting days quickly bled into the next as scenes were bumped deeper and deeper into the schedule due to awful weather or inappropriate exterior continuity. What a nightmare.
They couldn't keep things looking the same, basically.
No, and they actually had to evacuate out because of the rising floodwaters. It was pretty stressful for them.
Yeah, well, as you said, this led them to halt production until May 2022. But then they had to scout new locations and reshoot all the ensemble scenes featuring the character of Dylan, as he had to be recast eventually. So not so micro budget in the end after all.
Well, I mentioned the challenges to endure all of that. Look, Birdeater had its worldwide premiere at the Sydney Film Festival on the 11th of June last year in 2023.
The film delves into the complex nature of toxic masculinity and the more insidious ways it hides within social circles and abuse within a relationship, and asks questions of all those that ignore it. It challenges the morals of all the characters.
Yeah, and the audience for sure. In our chat, the duo respond to the divided reactions to their film, how masculine identity is explored in its characters, and the origins of the game Paranoia, and so much more.
Let's take a listen.
You nervous?
Why should be nervous?
Well, because girls don't go to bucks parties.
Jack and Jim, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast, and congratulations on Birdeater. You guys have made a film that has lived under my skin for weeks now since I saw it. What reactions to your film do you enjoy hearing the most? The good, indifferent, ugly?
Really like it when people, because we've left a lot of elements of the film ambiguous, and I really like it when people take it into their own hands and come up with their own ideas. Yeah, take the ball and run with it. It's really exciting to see, because it's kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people, the audience, to step in and fill in the details themselves.
And in terms of what we like to audibly hear from an audience, we love splitting a crowd in half. We love it when half the cinema is laughing and we can feel the other half of the cinema uncomfortable that their fellow audience members are laughing. So that kind of really splitting an audience and getting, different reactions in the moment is really exciting for us.
It's also like hearing other people laugh and questioning whether I should also be laughing or should I be feeling another way.
Totally.
Yeah, it's a fun feeling.
Now, the importance of telling Australian stories in gripping and unique ways is exactly what you've done here, specifically challenging the Aussie male archetype. You've said that this type of figure has become problematic, which it has, but that we shouldn't retire him. How does masculine identity manifest in Birdeater?
Well, it's the way in which mateship is a distinctly masculine idea. It's a friendship based between men, and the masculine identity of Australia is not going away. I think it just should kind of broaden its circle and include others. We make a very conscious decision in our film to have 3 friends in the middle who are kind of interchangeable. They have a lot of similar characteristics. They look similar. They're the closest knit, and everybody around them is othered from them in some way and feel excluded from their camaraderie, from their mateship, from their shared identity. And I think if the film is looking for anything, it's to broaden that and to kind of open channels of communication between friends and between new friends. Yeah, so I think that's what we're looking at.
And I have to say that one take, a slow pull-in shot of Dylan sharing his piece over dinner is deeply unsettling because it forces you to confront what he represents and what he's saying. And again, you may have audience members who think that's funny or upsetting. It's kind of until you realize that, hey, they ain't going to cut away from this. I can't look away. It really challenges sort of what he represents as a character specifically, anyway, in my experience.
Yeah, and fun fact, that was Ben Hunter, the actor who plays Dylan. That was his first day on set. So we really threw him into
Yeah,
the
far out.
gave him his kind of most important scene on day dot, largely just so he could get it over and done with and feel a bit more comfortable with the rest of the shoot.
The pure definition of baptism of fire right there for the poor
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, but that was a decision we made from on the script level, was that when Dylan gets up to speak, that we don't leave, because there's something about a cut which is relief for an audience. It's almost like a blink, or it's like a breath or something. It means that you can avert your eyes for a second. And this was something we knew was so core to the film that we didn't want the audience to have any kind of chance to look away from what we're really trying to talk about. So I think that, yeah, that's part of the language.
Yeah, when you're feeling uncomfortable watching something and you see a character also feel uncomfortable, that kind of gives you a bit of relief. It helps you kind of feel seen as you're watching something, and we wanted to deny an audience that for at least 5 minutes.
Yes, it was a very, very long 5 minutes, however long that piece went for. Now, physical abuse in a relationship is deplorable, but it is tangible to an audience, right? You can actually see it. But your film explores psychological abuse and the complexities and nuances that can exist around that. Why was this something that you chose to explore in your film, albeit your feature debut? You know, it's quite a heavy sort of theme to explore. Why was that important for you to go down that road here?
Well, emotional abuse is a lot more prolific than physical abuse. It's something that we felt like has a lot of crossover and gray areas with people who don't identify as abusers or as criminals. There's something, the fact that it's quite hard to draw a circle around or quite hard to underline means that it's very potent, dramatic material. I think we had an issue with material that was targeting masculinity and would swing for really bold, violent acts that a lot of the audience can detach from and cannot see themselves in. They can say, well, I'm not a violent man. I don't lay a hand on anybody. I don't do violent acts, and they separate themselves, and the story is no longer about them. But if you were to paint a story of abuse that didn't rely on aggression, that didn't rely on even raising a voice, I think we felt we would be able to burrow into a few more unsuspecting audience members and ask them to reconsider the way they think about abuse and the way they think about their own relationships.
Yeah, and even if they can't relate or they don't see themselves in the main character, they could probably at least see themselves in one of the supporting characters, you know, the friends of this of the person behaving badly, and relate to the friend who really struggles to like speak up and struggle to work out, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with a friend behaving badly?
I was talking to Shabana last week, and I said the film is as much a window as it is a mirror to yourself as well. How would you react, or what would you do in that situation if you came into understanding this about a relationship within a friendship group, or how would you react in the moment, or what happens after? So again, to your earlier points around, it's about what the audience take away and interpret as much as it is what you're sort of saying to them. It's what they hear. That's half of it. The paranoia game scene by the fire is very, very stressful to watch, because I can imagine myself in that situation and absolutely hating it. Great game. Was this a game that you played growing up? Because I'd actually never heard of it in my sort of social circles growing up here. Or did you make it up for the film?
No, me and Jack had both played it independently of each other in our friend group. So it is a game that some friends play. I don't remember where I learned about it, but yeah, some groups of friends are playing Paranoia, and it's It's not particularly fun, but
It's almost like it's like a way to pry into other people's relationships, which is essentially what we're doing in the film.
Mm.
It's like a gamified version of trying to cause disturbance between people who love each other, which is, an evil idea. It also kind of, I don't want to go that far, but there's something healthy about it as well. If you're able to sort of, without saying anything, cause two people to have this kind of huge row.
What is it really saying about their relationship?
Yeah, what's it saying about the relationship? But there's an evil intent behind it. It's all for kind of a show. It's for people to laugh at and to sort of gawk at. But
yeah,
it says a lot about the relationship as well. That kind of panics under that gaze.
Yeah. And also people just love to know what other people think of them. Like,
Right.
Everyone's desperate to know what people say behind their backs when they're not around. And it kind of gamifies that.
Maybe it was so uncomfortable for me as a viewer was because I am that person. I just want to know what you think. So it's that mirror piece for me. Now, Julian Oliver, who is your sound designer, has developed quite a familiar soundscape, very Australian. But can you confirm, because I heard it and I wrote it down, I was like, I have to remember to ask you guys, did I hear like a Microsoft sound or even the ding of a microwave in there? And sort of the creative choice to throw those choices in?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did hear
did.
that. We have a lot of wacky sound effects in Birdeater. A lot of them are pretty buried. Like we have a lot of sound effects that we took from Banjo-Kazooie, the video game, and just kind of buried them in different places. We have
love that.
Yoko singing in distant in the soundscapes. We have we challenged Julian to really push himself and find weird sounds to use in unique ways. Just because we know in indie films, sound can often be the giveaway that something is low budget. So in our minds, if we just invested, an ungodly amount of time and thought into the soundscape, it would feel like a bigger movie than it is.
There's sound mixes at the end of the post process, and you've been working on the film for years at this point. So you're kind of starting to lose your mind a little bit, where you almost start to play games with the film.
Yeah.
You're like, well, what if we put what is the most bizarre kind of sound we can put in here, and how can we make it work? So it seems kind of
It was really effective, and it made a big impact, and it made me sit up and take note when I wasn't expecting to at certain moments. Guys, thank you so much for your time. I've got one quick final question to wrap it up. What 3 words would you use to best describe Birdeater that you'd also include on the movie poster to market it?
Oh, that sounds like a trick question. Is it feral, and feral?
I've read that a lot. That seems to wrap it up nicely. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. And all the best for the release really soon too.
Thank you, Matt.
Cheers. Thank you, Tim. Nice to meet you.
When I told the boys you were coming, they got so excited.
Getting a film made is a literal miracle. And what this cast and crew were up against is truly insane. Hats off to them for enduring and producing Birdeater.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Jack and Jim are promising young filmmakers and have come out of the gate hard with such a confronting and challenging topic, and we're leaning in to see what the duo do next.
And don't forget to check out our interview with the film's star, Shabana Aziz, wherever you got your podcasts.
And Birdeater is in Australian cinemas from July 18. Friends, it's been such a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for listening.
We'll catch you next time.
We have a website, popcornpodcast.com. Make sure you check it out. We've got all our episodes up there for you.
If you'd like to get to know us a little better, there's an About Us section and we run ticket giveaways. So keep an eye on the website for more information.